Nearly every beauty influencer recommends the same foundation for mature skin. I would never let it anywhere near a client's face. Under real lighting, it crawls into fine lines within 20 minutes and makes you look a decade older. I have been doing makeup for 30 years, from film sets to bridal suites, and I have seen up close what the wrong formula does when it hits real texture. Today, I am going through 10 foundations I refuse to use on mature skin. And for each one, I will tell you what I actually reach for instead. Some of these foundations might work perfectly on your skin. What falls apart under studio lighting and bridal photography might look beautiful in your everyday life. But I am judging these under the most unforgiving conditions, and that is the standard I hold them to. Let me walk you through my list, starting with number 10. Number 10, CoverGirl Simply Ageless. This one frustrates me because the marketing is aimed directly at mature women. It is right there in the name. But in my experience, this foundation sits on top of the skin instead of melting into it. On younger skin, with smaller pores and more elasticity that is barely noticeable. On mature skin, it clings to dry patches and makes texture more visible, not less. It also has a slight shimmer that is supposed to look luminous, but on crepey skin around the eyes and jawline, that shimmer catches the light in all the wrong places. Instead of a healthy glow, you get a disco ball effect along every fine line. What you actually want at this price point is something that melts into your skin with a satin finish and gives you buildable coverage so you can put more where you need it and less where you do not. Now, number 10 is a drugstore formula, so you might think the problem is just the price point. But the next one proves that spending more does not guarantee a better result. Number 9, Clinique Even Better Clinical Serum Foundation. I have recommended Clinique skincare products for decades. Their moisturizers are workhorses, but this foundation has a problem that I cannot get past. It oxidizes. If you are not familiar with that word, it means the foundation changes color after you put it on. It goes on looking like a perfect shade match, and then a couple of hours later, it has shifted darker and more orange. On mature skin that tends to be drier, that oxidation shows up unevenly. Your forehead turns one shade, your cheeks turn another, and your chin does its own thing entirely. By lunchtime, you look blotchy instead of even, which is the exact opposite of why you bought a foundation in the first place. What you really want is a formula that reads your skin and adjusts to it instead of slowly turning orange on its own schedule. Your morning shade should be your evening shade. That should not be too much to ask. If oxidation is that much of a problem on mid-range foundations, you would think the professional brands would have figured it out. Not always. Number 8. MAC Studio Fix Fluid. This is an industry standard. Every makeup artist I know has used MAC at some point because the shade range is one of the best in the business. And for editorial work where the model is 23 and the photo is getting retouched anyway, Studio Fix does the job. But on mature skin, it is simply too much. It dries down to a flat matte finish that drains the life right out of your face. As you get older, your skin already produces less oil, so a heavy matte formula just amplifies the dryness. Every fine line looks deeper, every bit of texture looks rougher. It also flashbacks in photos, which means there is a white cast on your face whenever a camera flash goes off, so you look put together in the bathroom mirror and then washed out in every photo from the event. If you need that kind of shade range, MAC Face and Body is a completely different formula. It is sheer, dewy, and actually looks better on mature skin than it does on young skin. That is not a trade I am willing to make for my clients. MAC is a professional brand, so at least makeup artists know what they are getting. But the next one comes from a product that built its reputation on coverage, and coverage is exactly the problem. Number 7, Tarte Shape Tape Foundation. The Shape Tape Concealer has a devoted following, and I understand why. It covers everything. But the foundation version takes that same heavy coverage approach and spreads it across your entire face, and on mature skin that turns into a cakey situation fast. Full coverage on a face that has fine lines and texture looks like you are trying to spackle over a wall. The more you blend it out with a damp beauty sponge, the more it shifts around and rides up in the creases. I have tried applying it with a brush, a sponge, my fingers. On clients over 45, it never sits right. It also transfers like crazy, so by the time you have hugged 3 people at the reception, half your cheek is on somebody's shoulder. If you love the concealer, keep using it where you need it. But pair it with a foundation that gives you buildable coverage, something lightweight where you are not locked into the same heavy layer across your entire face. And speaking of foundations that fight your skin, the next one might be the most controversial pick on this list because it has been a staple in mature women's makeup bags for years. Number 6. Estee Lauder Double Wear Stay in Place Foundation. This one is going to make some people upset because Estee Lauder is the brand that many mature women grew up with. And Double Wear has been around for what feels like forever. But here is the issue. This formula was designed for oily skin. It was built to stay matte, stay locked in, and not move for 12 hours straight. If you are 28 with a slick T-zone, that is exactly what you want. If you are 52 with drier skin and more visible lines around the mouth, it is going to feel like a mask. I have had clients sit down in my chair already wearing Double Wear, and I can see every single crease around their lips and smile lines because the foundation has settled in there like grout between tiles. It does not budge, which is the selling point, but that also means it does not flex when your face moves. You smile and there are cracks, you talk, and it separates around your chin. If you love the Estee Lauder counter, ask them about Futurist Hydra Rescue instead. It is from the same brand, but built for drier skin, and it actually moves with your face. Long wearing does not automatically mean good for mature skin. Sometimes it just means the problem lasts longer. That last line applies to the next foundation too, except this one comes with a celebrity name attached. Number 5. Fenty Beauty Pro Filter Soft Matte Long Wear Foundation. Rihanna changed the entire beauty industry with Fenty. That shade range was a turning point and it mattered. But Pro Filter is a soft matte formula, and we have already talked about what matty does to mature skin. It flattens everything. Under the studio lights where I work, I can watch this foundation start settling into smile lines and forehead creases within the first hour. It also makes texture louder. If you have any dryness at all, every dry patch becomes impossible to ignore. On a 20-year-old with smooth skin and plenty of natural moisture, this foundation can look like glass. On mature skin, it reads more like makeup applied to a crumpled piece of paper that you then tried to smooth back out. I know that sounds harsh, and I am sorry, but I have watched it happen on too many faces to soften it. What mature skin actually needs is a foundation with a natural, dewy finish that works with your texture instead of shouting about it. If this list is helping you rethink what is in your makeup bag, hit subscribe. I share honest makeup advice for real skin every week. Now let me keep going, because the next 4 are the ones that really surprised me. Number 4, NARS Sheer Glow Foundation. The name says sheer. It is not sheer. I still do not understand why they call it that. This is a medium to full coverage foundation that goes on looking dewy and then dries down heavier than you expected. On mature skin, the problem is it grabs onto dry patches around the nose and between the eyebrows like it is hanging on for dear life. If your skin has any rough texture or flaking, Sheer Glow will find it and put a spotlight on it. I have also noticed it separates on clients with larger pores, which creates little visible rings of product sitting around each pore, actually making them look bigger than they are. On well-prepped and thoroughly hydrated skin, it can look decent for a few hours, but I should not have to spend 45 minutes on skincare prep just to get one foundation to behave. A good foundation should have hydration built into the formula so it meets your skin halfway instead of demanding that you do all the work. You would think a lighter approach would solve the problem, and sometimes it does. But the next foundation proves that a beautiful first impression does not always last. Number 3, Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Foundation. I wanted to love this one. The bottle is gorgeous. The shade range has gotten much better, and it goes on beautifully for about 2 hours. Then it starts breaking down around the nose, the chin, and anywhere your face moves when you talk or eat. On mature skin, that breakdown hits harder because the foundation was already sitting on top of fine lines, and when it starts shifting, those lines turn into little trenches of visible product. It also pills if you have any silicone-based skincare underneath, which is extremely common for mature women because silicone primers and serums smooth out texture before makeup. So your skincare and your foundation are literally fighting each other on your face. If you love Charlotte Tilbury, her beautiful skin foundation is the one I actually reach for. It was designed with hydration in mind, and it plays nicely with skincare underneath. At that price point, I expect a formula that survives through dinner. This one barely makes it past the breadbasket. If a foundation that costs that much cannot last through a meal, you would hope the one marketed specifically at mature women with skincare built right into the name would do better. It does not. Number 2, Yeti Cosmetics Your Skin But Better CC Plus Cream. This is going to upset people, and I know it. IT Cosmetics built this product with dermatologists and plastic surgeons. It has SPF 50. It promises full coverage that looks like skin. And for a lot of mature women, this is the first foundation that ever made them feel like they found their product. I understand that loyalty, but here is what I see when clients sit in my chair wearing it. It is heavy, not foundation heavy, I mean sunscreen heavy. That SPF 50 formula creates a thick, slightly greasy layer that sits on top of fine lines and actually pushes into every crease as the day goes on. The coverage is so dense that it stops looking like skin and starts looking like a mask within a couple of hours. And that SPF causes flashback in photos, which for my bridal and event clients is a deal breaker. Under the reception photographer's flash, their face goes flat white while their neck and chest stay a completely different shade. The name says, your skin but better. On mature skin, what I see is your skin but thicker, heavier, and more obvious. It also oxidizes on a lot of my clients, so the shade they carefully matched at the counter shifts warmer and darker by the afternoon. I have tried mixing it with moisturizer to thin it out, applying it with a damp sponge using half the amount. Every workaround I try, I am essentially fighting the formula instead of working with it, and if I have to fight a foundation to make it look good, it does not belong in my kit. So after all of that, 9 foundations that crack, oxidize, cake up, sit in every line, and fight against mature skin instead of working with it. You have heard me say the same things over and over. I want something that adjusts to my client's skin. I want something buildable. I want something with hydration in the formula. I want something that moves with your face when you smile. I want something that still looks like skin at the end of the night. That is a lot to ask from one product, but it is exactly what number 1 does. Number 1, Luxe Color Changing Foundation. This is not a foundation I refuse to use. It is the one I refuse to work without. A friend of mine who does bridal work in Los Angeles kept telling me to try it. I ignored her for months because I have been burned by gimmicky marketing too many times. But she wore me down, and I am glad she did. The formula has pH-reactive microbeads that read your skin and adjust the shade to match. It goes on white, which is weird the first time, and within about a minute, it shifts to your actual tone. So the oxidation problem that ruined Clinique and IT Cosmetics does not exist here. Your morning shade is your evening shade. I tested it on a bridal client under warm reception lighting for 6 hours, and it did not shift once. But the shade matching is honestly not even the main reason I keep reaching for it. It is how it sits on skin that has texture. I have spent this entire video complaining about foundations that settle into lines, that crack when you smile, that turn every dry patch into a spotlight. This one does not do any of that. It moves with your face. My clients talk, eat, hug people, and at the end of the night, the finish still looks like skin, not like a product that gave up 3 hours ago. It is buildable, so I can put a little more across the cheeks where there is redness and leave the forehead almost bare, and it blends together without going patchy. It has hyaluronic acid and niacinamide in the formula, so I am not spending 45 minutes on skincare prep just to get the foundation to behave. It meets your skin halfway. It is not full coverage. If you need to cover deep scarring or significant hyperpigmentation, you will want to layer it or look elsewhere. But for looking like yourself on a really good day, it is the best thing I have found in 30 years of doing this. It is the #1 best-selling foundation on Amazon right now, and I found it for less there than on the brand's website, so I will leave a link in the description. Those are my 10. I know some of these picks will be controversial because these brands have loyal followings for good reason. But after 3 decades of watching foundation perform on real faces under real lighting, I have stopped being polite about what works and what does not. Drop a comment and tell me which foundations you have given up on. I read every single one, and if you want to see which concealers I refuse to use on mature skin, that video is on screen now.